I think. As Bruce said, I'm significantly taller than the average American male by like 6.5 inches, which is intrusive in a lot of places. I guess I'll start off with who I am. My name's Spencer McIver. I'm 21. I'm a student at St. Mary's. You know, I do the normal things that everyone does. I waste a lot of my time. I'm on the internet too much. On top of that, though, I'm also basically a full-time employee. So I've got 2 jobs. I work at the Exchange on Hollis, and I also work at Toyota. So I'm working, 35, 40 hours a week on top of a full-time class load. And I like to exacerbate that a little bit as well during the summer when I'm not in classes, so I can work a little bit closer to 85 or 90 hours a week. It's ridiculous. I don't recommend that to anybody. But it's fun, it keeps things going. I actually had nothing planned for what I was going to talk about tonight. I actually put my name in there to speak, and I was asked to do it like probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and given plenty of time to plan and figure out what I was going to talk about, but I have no clue, and really had no clue until about 2 minutes ago when I started really thinking about it and crunching on what I was going to do. Just so you all know, I ramble like crazy, so please somebody stop me before it gets out of hand.
Spencer, stop rambling.
There we go. I had the luxury of being on Ruth's podcast twice, and if any of you have the chance to do that, I would recommend it highly. As somebody who's never really spoken openly about the issues that I face and that a lot of people face, it was surprisingly easy to talk to her about it. So, although it is a podcast that's heard by however many people that listen to it, it is surprisingly easy to talk about whatever you might have been through or whatever you've gone through or whatever your day-to-day is. So I would recommend that if you can get in to do it. It was funny. I was listening to, I don't know if any of you guys watch the show or the YouTube podcast, And Now We Feast. It's Hot Ones. They get people on and they eat ridiculously hot chicken wings and ask a bunch of ridiculous questions to celebrities and go through their Instagram histories. And it's a hilarious podcast to watch. But I was listening to the host, and he was talking to a comedian called Theo Vaughn. And I'm not sure, I can't quite remember what all came up to sort of prompt the answer that the host gave. But Theo sort of asked the question, where'd you get that work ethic? And immediately I just started thinking about work ethic and what I pride myself in and what I think a lot of people pride themselves in, especially in this room. I would say that there's a significant amount of us that are workaholics and that do nothing but work day and night and go to sleep dreaming about work. But it's the response that the host gave that really got me thinking. And he said something along the lines of looking at myself and thinking I could do better. Like people with a six-pack or whatever it might be, they're perfecting what's on the outside to make up for what's broken on the inside. And yeah. It's a lot of pieces. So it was funny, and Theo Vaughn's a comedian who's from southern Georgia, and he is very robust and very southern in his ways, and he's hilarious to listen to, but very blunt. And but listening to the host say that sort of got me thinking, and I was like, oh, holy shit. Yeah, that finally makes a little bit more sense. I'm somebody who deals with my own issues from day to day with like a lot of people, but I would say that I do the things that I do and I work the amount that I do in excess of what a lot of people would think is healthy, I guess, to follow similar suit to what the host was saying. Something interesting that I'd heard, but when I was thinking about coming on tonight and what I was going to talk about and sort of what route I might follow, I figured I'd do what I do most days and wing it, and we all fake it till we make it, and try and figure out where we're going in life. And being a 21-year-old, we're expected to make lifelong decisions, like what career we're going to take on and what wonderful member of parliament we're going to look to elect and all these other lovely things. But it finds in my day-to-day I can't seem to figure out what shoes to put on. So,
Shoes.
yeah.
Great shoes, by the way.
Thank you. It took longer to pick than you'd think. That's something I connect with Meech a lot with. I'm not sure, I can't see Meech at the moment. I think he's, oh, there he is. As men's fashion. This is something I talked about a little bit on Bruce's podcast. I'm not sure if anybody here has heard the podcasts or the ones I was on. But we talked a lot about men's fashion and sort of why I enjoy men's fashion and why I get into things like that, and why I feel the need to dress up whenever I go outside. And one of the things we were talking about was it could be 2 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday and I'm going to the supermarket to get gummy bears. I'm still going to put on the nicest attire I can find because if anybody sees me outside, I will be broken if I'm in sweatpants and a hoodie. And I think this is one thing that my girlfriend can vouch for, is the amount of times I've gone into public wearing sweatpants is, in the last year and a half that we've been dating, maybe twice. And it was not by choice. I think that there's something, on a personal level for a lot of people when it comes to their appearance, not just in terms of what they think of themselves, but what of other people think of them. And that was something I struggled with and still struggle with a lot, is what people think of me, and, what my appearance is like, and how I present myself. And that ties into the work ethic that I want to show people is, what's on the outside is not exactly what's on the inside. I might be broken on the inside, but I can still go out and do the things that everybody does and show off to other people and make people think that all the pieces are actually stuck together pretty well. It's been a long time trying to figure out how to make all those pieces work together, and I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is just their day-to-day and figuring out what steps they're going to take and how they're going to proceed with what they're dealing with. And that's something that I still struggle with, and I found I haven't really looked for a solution for it. And it's trying to find the right words here, because it's a touchy subject to talk about. I'm not somebody who looks for a solution for the issues that I'm dealing with. I'm not somebody who tries to fix the problems that I'm dealing with. I'm somebody who is trying to prove to other people that I can do it even though I have those problems, which I think is perhaps the wrong steps to take, but it's shown to myself that I'm still capable of doing the things that everybody else would do. And it's incredible what you can get done if you're willing to put the time in and put the effort in. And that's something that I've found in this wonderful group of people is sort of the things that can be done if you're willing to commit to doing them. Ruth's podcast was sort of an eye-opener for me on a personal level, just because it was the only time that I've ever spoken publicly. That was crazy. It was the only time I've ever spoken publicly or really to anybody who wasn't really the only person ever that I've spoken to about the things I was dealing with. And I've never been somebody to think of going to a therapist or going to seek help or try and find help from anybody else. But I realized really quickly how much lighter you feel after you just talk about it. And that's something that I would love to see happen more often, and something that's a huge issue surrounding mental illness and the stigma and all the issues that follows, is especially not only, but especially on the male side of things, people that deal with mental illness and people that are suffering with their own issues, they're stuck behind this wall of not wanting to get out and talk about it. And that was my opportunity to finally get out and talk to somebody and sort of express the feelings that I've had in the past and get that off my chest. And that was a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. And I can't thank Ruth enough for the opportunity that she gave me to do that. So again, if you guys ever get the opportunity to go and talk on our podcast, or if you have stories or things to tell or anything at all, like, she is an amazing person to talk to, not just because it's a podcast and because people will hear it, but because it's such a great facility in terms of having a person who's not only dealt with their own issues, but who is, continuing to make their way through their day-to-day and deal with those issues. So, not to make my time up here sound like a promotional ad for Ruth's podcast, but it's surprising and it honestly blew my mind what talking to somebody can do. That's being a guy and living through the athlete life and dealing with the stigma around mental illness. Like, I never thought talking to somebody was worthwhile at all. But if you're a person who's ever dealt with mental illness or anything along those lines, like, it's a game changer in every sense of the word. And I thought I was going to come up here and try to be funny, because that's usually what I do. Not meaningfully, but self-deprecating humor, it's great. But it definitely didn't turn out like that. I was not looking to go down this path, but we're here. So, but thanks, guys. No, honestly, like, I'm glad that I finally got to come up here. I've gone to 10, I think, of these events, and I've gotten to meet some crazy people. I mean, most of the people that I would call friends, like, right now, are standing in this room, except for Sean. I don't know where Sean is.
He's at home with a cast on his hand.
Yeah.
Poor Sean.
Good thing it's his left hand. Yeah.
Because he's a photographer.
Right. That's what I meant. I've used that joke twice now with Sean.
He told me about it, actually. He was
Yeah.
at home in bed in pain, and then he's like, Spencer said the funniest thing to me.
And both times I get the same reaction out of him. So it's these network events are, not only networking events or growth opportunities, as a small business or as somebody growing in Halifax. They're amazing opportunities to get to meet people and honestly meet genuine people. I think if you're the kind of person to come to one of these events, you're the kind of person who's looking to get out there and meet new people, and you're the kind of person who's genuine. And I'm not gonna, make a general assumption about everybody who's standing in this room. You all have your own reasons for being here. But I would say that this is one of the finest opportunities to meet new people and get out there and experience opportunities, especially if you're new to the city. The winter can be awful here, and having friends makes it that much easier. So I would promote that for sure. But thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.